So for us, we have spring practice in the state of Washington. The rules have changed slightly. It used to be you had a maximum of 20 days. Now it's kind of wishy-washy. It's a little bit different in terms of how many days you can practice. There's some unlimited stuff, but there's limits on padded days. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. We believe that we can do everything in 12 practices. And so we have a lot of multi-sport kids at our school. We play in basically the middle division in Washington. There are 2 classifications that are bigger than us, the big schools. And then there are 3 classifications that are smaller than us, which are the really small schools, and we're kind of in the middle. Our program has about 100 kids in it, and that's not normal at our level. A lot of schools don't have quite that many. We're lucky. We have a really supportive community, and so we have about 100 kids, but a lot of them are multi-sport kids. So we only practice 3 days a week in the spring, and we only do it Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so that kids have Mondays and Fridays for basketball, baseball tournaments, lacrosse, whatever it is they're going to be doing. So we have 12 practices. We end our spring with a 2-day scrimmage camp. So we don't do like an overnight team camp or anything like that. There's a lot of reasons for that. We can go into that some other time, but we don't do that anymore. And so we have to build everything into 12 total practices. And so I am kind of maniacal about the structure and making sure that we can do this effectively. And so I build big old install calendars. I've got a snippet of the first one here. This is week 1 from last year for us of exactly what we're going to put in, what we're going to cover on each day that we practice. And so for us, you can see the first day of practice, we're out there. We're going to run the 20 series. We're going to install these 2 play action passes. We're going to teach the route tree to our receivers and run play action off of it. No screens that day. We're going to teach our formations, right, left, over, and our wing formations. So we're going to run all of this stuff, all of our 20s and our play action out of those formations. That day, we weren't working on any motions or shifts. We were going to teach how to huddle properly and the tempo that we break the huddle with, how we snap the ball. And then you can see we were working on our spec team for the day was a PAT field goal one, right? So generally speaking, when I'm building an install calendar, I believe in the whole kind of process. So we don't spend a lot of time on fundamentals in the spring. We just don't. We are going to teach the series. We're going to teach the footwork and the backfield actions. We're going to stress things like fakes. But we're not going to drill down things like ball security or shoulder blocking technique or, that stuff is the things that we're going to work on and really build in the fall. What we want to teach in the spring is we want to teach the rules. We want to teach like, hey, this is what you need to be doing as the halfback on these plays in this series. And then we'll worry about, kind of your, jump cuts and stuff like that. We'll worry about that later. We'll teach that in the winter or in the fall and the summertime to those guys. So we're going to stress pretty heavily, alignment, assignment, responsibility, what you're supposed to do. And then how you actually do it is something we're going to drill down as we build later on. This is our second week. I've got it on the screen here for you now. You can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to work that power series, then the jet and the rockets. Same idea though, right? You can see that we've added some shifts and trades and motions as well on these days, different formations we're going to put in. And I try to pencil that all out well in advance so that there's no guessing about what we're doing every single day. We are going to install every formation and every motion and every shift in pre-practice in a meeting. So we have a 30-minute meeting before practice and 30-minute meeting, 15 minutes of it are going to be scheme related. So all those formations, motions, etc. And then 15 minutes of it is going to be team building, team rules, standards, character, that kind of stuff. And so we're going to make sure that kids see the motions, the shifts, the formations, and the plays in a team meeting first, what the expectations are. And then, to be honest with you, I spend, I don't know, way too much time probably making sure I know every single formation that I can run every single play out of, and every single formation that I can include a motion or a shift in every play, and then making sure I know what works best with it so that I can theoretically pencil it all out, get it all done. I got a question in the chat real quick. I just came up about in our scheme meetings, do we meet as an entire team or break off? We meet as a whole team in the spring because I got coaches who work outside jobs and are not always there. So like the running backs coach, he can't make the meetings. He'll make it to practice, but he can't be at the meetings. So I do that. I do that as a whole team. And again, it's an overview, right? We're not going to talk about the specific footwork that the running back does in that meeting. We're just going to be like, hey, this is the formation, this is the play, this is what you do, this is where you go, that kind of thing. And then the techniques and the things that you need to do, coaches are going to build on that once kids are comfortable with knowing what my job is. I hope that makes sense. All right. So this is a look at kind of that install calendar in a whole kind of a whole overview look. These are 12 practices for us. So you can see the first 2 weeks, we're going to run one series a day, and we're going to spend just, drilling down that series. So that means every group rep, every team rep, every walkthrough rep, everything is based around on offense, that 50 series on Thursday, June 1st. Okay, so we've taught the 20s, we've taught the 30s, we've taught the 50s. We've gone through the first 2 weeks, we've taught all the series. So the second 2 weeks, what we do is we pair them up, right? And so our second 2 weeks of spring ball, you can see on Tuesday, June 13th, we're now going to run the 20s and the 50s, and we're going to do them together. And we believe we can do that. We spend 50 minutes on offense, 5-0 per day in practice. And I'll go into practice planning and what that looks like a little bit later, but we can run those two series together because the blocking schemes are pretty similar, right? The buck series and the down series. And that means that our individual times can be a lot shorter because we're not teaching multiple techniques. So we don't have to spend very much time on indies and spring ball. At least that's what we believe. That's the way we do things. So you can see here that, again, we're looking at installing and scaffolding and building on top, right? So the first time we taught the 20s and the 50s, we didn't add, we didn't have any screens or anything like that. It looks like we've taught how to huddle. We taught players how to trade. We taught them what jet motion was. We taught them another shift, which was flip. And so that second week, we're going to build on that stuff, right? So we're going to work the 20s and 50s. We've got all of our play action passes for both of those in, but now we're going to make a switch call. And so we're going to teach them what that switch tag means for that play action pass. We're going to install a screen on this day. These are the formations we're going to run all of our 20s and 50s out of, right? So we're going to run them out of right, left, wing, nasty, and twins. Twin for us is a second tight end. We are also going to run each of those plays with a trade or a flip so that we can practice those formations. And we're going to work, our PAT scheme, et cetera, and spec teams. And then if we want to, we can add some gun stuff. So I'm very, I don't know if the word is anal or intentional, whatever. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but essentially I spend a ton of time making sure that the 20s and 50s, we can run all those plays out of all these formations with all these shifts and all these motions. And then I'm going to script those. And we're going to make sure that we practice them with everybody in the program, freshmen, JV, varsity. Because I believe if you're organized enough and you're thoughtful in how you plan and structure, all those kids can do that. And you can do it with group drills. And I'm willing to talk to anybody who wants to talk about how we organize group and all that stuff, certainly. But I think you can structure it if you're willing to sit down and spend a few hours planning it out. So next, people ask like, okay, you install this, but how do you organize it? How do you get it all done? So we start in huddle, and I build out huddle installs in the huddle playbook area for every kid and coach in the program. And it starts with your most basic of stuff. We're going to have how we huddle, how we have our numbering system, point of attack, all of that stuff. The kids are going to get that early, and we're going to go through that in our pre-practice meetings and that kind of thing. I do a lot of, I have done a lot of video recordings of myself, screencasts, talking through that basic stuff. And it's great. You do it once, you record yourself teaching it to your kids, and then I can send it to them, but then I can also send it to the youth coaches in our youth program or the middle school coaches in our middle school program. And so that everybody's hearing the same structure, the same teaching. And now I got a video clip of me showing all this. I just store it on YouTube, unlisted or private. And then I send them the link and they can watch it. Or I'll put it into Huddle for our players, obviously. So we do that. And man, I just spend a lot of time building those out. And then putting them in a sequential order so that the kids know what we're going to run first, when we're going to work on it. And they know what to look at in advance. And it's great for coaches too, especially if you get young coaches or new coaches who come in. There's no confusion. They can find it there. Within those, we install in the spring. We'll install probably somewhere around 12 different formations, both to the right and the left, maybe more. 10 easily. And we talk about different backfield alignments. We'll run unbalanced in the spring. We'll teach all those different motions and jets, or motions and shifts that you can see there. So that's for us 2, 4, 6. So we'll teach 7 different shifts, pre-snap shifts. We'll talk about, and we'll teach at least 6 different motions to all the kids, all the players, all the coaches. And we believe you can do that in the spring. You can teach those things, you can rep them, you can practice them if you're super intentional about how you organize and structure. We practice them every day, and we include them in the play calls all of the time. Again, because we're more concerned in our 12 spring practices with, can we teach you where to line up, how to shift, how to motion, and then what your job is on all of those play calls. If I can teach you your job and you know how to line up and all of that stuff, then in the summer and in the fall, when I have more time, I can really drill down on the techniques and the things that you need, hey, specific hand placement, where, how do we take care of the football? How do we carry out our fakes appropriately as a running back? We teach all that stuff and we drill it like crazy, but in the spring, quite simply, we don't have enough time. And so we believe it's more important in the 12 days that we do this, that we're going to teach them, all of the formations, all of the shifts, all the motions, and then our basic offensive system, all of the run plays, the secondary plays, the counters, and the play action passes. We're going to teach them their job. We're going to teach them where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. And then we'll teach them how to do it effectively in the summer and in August. So anyway, so that's what we do in the spring in that regard. Some examples here of things that we'll do for the players. Like these are what they see drawn up in their playbooks, right? So we're going to teach them some shifts. And so if I'm teaching them what it means when we say trade to, wing right or whatever, for us, the tight ends are going to learn what that means, but everybody's going to get a copy of it. They're going to be able to see it. And when they look at the drawings, the tight ends, the wings, the running backs, the receivers, the quarterbacks, etc., they're all going to get these in Huddle. They're also going to get the video clip that shows them what it is. We're going to show them in the pre-practice meeting what the shift is supposed to look like, meaning the tempo that you're supposed to shift with, and the urgency you're supposed to move with. We're going to show them video like that in advance of practice. They're going to get it beforehand in a screencast video that I send them. And then we also print playbooks. I know that's kind of old school, but we call them players manuals, and they get one in the spring. And the spring player manual has I mean, it's not just a playbook. It's got all of our team stuff, right? All of our character building, our culture, all of our, our team building stuff. You know, you name it. It's got the standards that we expect kids to operate with, the way that we practice, team rules, how we dress, everything. And they're going to get one of those in the spring, and they're going to have it every day. And then they're going to get one of those in the fall as well, and they're going to get their fall player manual so that there's no confusion. And we're just trying to teach it to them 100 different ways and force it to stick in their brain.